Welcome to the SportsBros Podcast, featuring the almighty B-Live, the money man Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative Eddy Kool. The SportsBros Podcast, by the fan, for the fan, talking sports just the way you like it. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the SportsBros. It's Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's time for another action-packed edition of your favorite sports podcast, none other than the Sports Bros Podcast. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Today is my birthday, and I'm smiling. One of my teams won. The South Carolina Gamecocks, yeah, we got to win. The Panthers, that's another story for another day. So all is well in the world of your boy, Eddy Kool. But enough about me and my birthday, which I'll probably mention like 9 times out of the podcast because it's a special day for me. 40 years ago today, I became into existence. Glorious! Well, anyways,
40?
Yes, sir. 4.
Wow, are you old?
I'm seasoned. I'm seasoned. That's why I tell them gals, maybe I'm seasoned.
Wow.
Anyways, I got 2 of the best co-hosts in the world. Introducing first the almighty B-Live. Follow that up.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today?
All roads lead to Davo.
Shut up!
All roads lead to Davo.
Let me get my intro out. You already know how I feel right now. You just oh my God. Oh well, yes. Clemson lost. South Carolina won. How do you think I feel? That's what's happening in the world today. South Carolina's still not ranked, so they're irrelevant to me. And the worst thing that could have happened for the Cougs is the fact that Clemson finally lost.
We going bowling.
We literally have nothing to lose when it comes to the state championship the day 2 days after Thanksgiving. I'm going to be incredibly thankful this year when we put that mollywop in on the Gamecocks because we have nothing to lose. The playoffs, it is what it is. We're already going to the ACC championship. So what else is there to focus on? We get 3 weeks of just thinking about how we're going to beat our rival team in this game, and it's home, and it's man, go ahead and introduce the other guy. I could talk about this all day. Because I'm just trying to tell you. And I am going to talk about it. And then talk about it some more. Go ahead and introduce the other guy.
And the other guy, he is the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania, the assistant athletic director at the Trinity High School. He is the one, the only, the man himself, the money man, Scottie D.
Happy birthday, head of creative. Happy birthday to you. So this would have been a bad week to fall back because that just gives you an extra hour of misery if your team had lost a game on Saturday night. And I tell you what, there were some incredible games on Saturday. That Penn State-Indiana game was a thriller.
See, here you go. Here we go.
Okay, we won't even go into all that.
I swear, folks. You've been waiting since Saturday for this moment right here, haven't you?
No, your pain doesn't give me pleasure. I'm not like you.
The hell it does not.
No, I don't care. You know what? I was sad that we lost on Saturday. You know, I was rooting for us to beat Notre Dame. But it doesn't give me pleasure to see us lose. I'm not happy. It doesn't make me happy. I'm not a guy who revels in other people's misery because if you're a sports fan, you're going to be miserable at some point. It always happens. You're going to lose and be miserable more times than you win a championship. That's what makes the championships so sweet, is because they're so hard to achieve.
You do realize I got receipts, right?
I'm literally not saying anything bad about you. I really am not.
Every
I
single
root
time,
for your team.
Remember
that time I told you Deshaun Watson was my all-time most exciting college football player? He played for Clemson. Remember? He played for Clemson.
every time Clemson gets behind in a game, he come with some silly ass message. I'm worried. What are you worried about? It ain't your team.
I say that before the game starts.
So you
I'm nervous. I get nervous for us.
Yeah,
I get nervous for us.
Exactly. You know what that does. You know that just
I get nervous for us. I want us to win.
I swear to God, Scottie D.
Speaking of championships, wow, the World Series is over, and now I feel bad already. There's no more baseball to watch. Now it's time to get into basketball, hockey, and all this stuff. Eddie, let's just get into the show. Let's do it. Let's talk.
Be Live, cheer up. It ain't the end of the world, and it's nowhere near it. It could. Hey, you know what? I like you got a double dose, man. The Panthers lost and the Clemson Tigers.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. It's just that Scottie D just knows what he knows what he's doing. He ain't slick. He ain't slick.
I'm not doing anything.
I'm so sick of you. He knows exactly how to push my buttons. Let's get into it. Let's talk about which one y'all want to talk about. Y'all want to go NFL or y'all want to go World Series? Which one y'all want to talk about first?
You know what? We're going to go into the NFL first. So let's get into it. Here it is, the top of the order. All right, let's get this thing started. Here it is, the top of the order. Fellas, we got some teams playing football, some good football and some bad football. So after 9 weeks, which of the teams had poor first halves and are more likely to turn things around and make a playoff run? And which of the teams who had a strong start is most likely to fall off in the final 8 weeks of the season? Damn, it's only 8 weeks left. It's like it just started. Scottie D, what say you? Who's trending up? Who's trending down?
I think a big part of this answer could have come from the game that featured nationally on Sunday afternoon between the Buccaneers and Rams. And I kind of felt like the winner of that game could be my answer to this question. I do think the Buccaneers, of all the teams that got off to a bad start, have the best chance to turn things around and make a playoff run. Part of that being in the division. I mean, it's not the best division. They're actually tied for first right now at 4-5. They did show they didn't look great against the Rams, but they did show some life towards the end, getting the win. They pulled out. That was a win that they needed to have. It was also a win the Rams needed to have. But both of those teams, to me, they look really weak because of their offensive line. And I know that the Buccaneers had Gronk retire. One of their other starters retired from a year ago, and they have another injury. So they're not running the ball as well. Fournette does not seem to have burst. The good news is that they have this Rachaad White on the sideline, and it could be almost like a Zeke, Tony Pollard situation where they work both backs in, keep Fournette fresh down the stretch. But, there's still weapons there for Brady. He still has good receivers to throw the ball to. He seems to get a little rapport going with the young tight end. What was his name? Otto or something like that. Yeah. So I think they have the best chance. That doesn't mean I think they're poised for a Super Bowl run, but I do think that they could have a potential playoff run, because the other teams that I was expecting to do well, the Rams, who I picked to go to the Super Bowl, and the Packers, who I picked to win their division, they're your more likely candidates of teams that you would say would turn around. But I don't foresee that for either team, because both of them seem to have offensive line problems and chemistry problems. What do you think about that? What I just said there, B? Tampa Bay, is that who you got?
See, to me, that's an easy answer. But I don't think they'll make a run in the playoffs. They're going to get to the playoffs just because somebody from the NFC South has to. That does not mean in the slightest bit of what we're talking about here that they're actually going to do good in the playoffs. Tom Brady showed us who he still is with that last drive. That was a work of art, and I also sort of blame the defensive coordinator for the Rams.
Yeah. My God, horrible! This horrible play calling, horrible.
They forgot who he was. I don't know what's going on. You forced the ball to the middle of the field. That's one thing there. To the answer of this question, who had a great first half of the season and who didn't have the greatest start, and do y'all really believe in the Seattle Seahawks? I can't do it.
No, I don't. No.
This is unprecedented. I just think out of the 4 teams in the NFC West, they're the least talented. But they just see it's one of those things where they have literally nothing to lose, so they're playing with reckless abandon, and sometimes it's just hard to coach against. And literally, all the 49ers, the Rams, and the Cardinals all have been trying to find their identity. I think the second half of the season is going to prove to be tough for the Seattle Seahawks. I think Geno Smith has literally said, "This is my chance to resurrect my career." I honestly think he could be a starter in the NFL. I think he's one of the best 32 quarterbacks in the league. So hopefully he does get another chance. Do I believe in them in the second half of the season? I don't. Because win's a win. They're in a good position right now, but I just think the games are going to get a little bit tougher. I don't know. On the other side, will the real Cincinnati Bengals please stand up? Which team are we going to get? The one that gets sacked 17 times against the Browns and can't move the ball or do anything? Or the Cincinnati Bengals that we're not even going to talk about because my parent, you know what? Let me tell you why I don't know what Cincinnati is going to do. In one of my fantasy leagues, I benched Joe Mixon.
Oh,
I benched them because of what happened the week prior against Cleveland. 55 points on the bench. In the league that matters, though, I was facing the money man Scottie D, and Joe Mixon was in my starting lineup. And yeah. I don't think Scottie D was paying attention this week because I think his defense was on a bye. So, and I wasn't going to remind him.
I thought I replaced that midweek, but I guess it didn't happen. I did. I thought I picked up another defense and was good, but evidently that didn't go through.
You weren't going to win anyway. It was waiting. Joe Mixon was nasty. Yeah. God. I had him starting in 3 other leagues. I'm in 5 leagues, by the way. I don't have a life besides sports. But Cincinnati figured it out. So I don't know. Cincinnati, I think it was a rough first half of the season. They're 5-4. I think they can get it correct because nobody's really standing out in the AFC North. Out of the 4 teams there, I think the Bengals are the best on paper. It will depend on a healthy Jamar Chase. That is a big factor. We'll see. Cincinnati, I believe they're going to do some things in the second half. Seattle, I don't believe in Seattle. I believe in Geno Smith, but I don't believe in Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. Was it Kenneth? What's his name? Kenneth Walker III?
Yep, Kenneth Walker III. Yep. My team.
Not bad.
Yeah. They're playing good. You just expect them at some point to fall off and the 49ers and the Rams to kind of make a run. But I mean, we're 9 weeks in and it hasn't gone that way yet.
Right.
And Geno Smith's history shows that he's not a quarterback that wins this much yet. He's doing it.
Hey,
but let me ask you this.
Prove me wrong, bro. I'm sort of rooting for you by not rooting for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
It's a nice little redemption story, though. I mean, I kind of am happy for the guy that he's doing well. He's getting another chance and making the most of it. So, I'm kind of happy for him in that aspect. But of the teams that we were talking about that had bad first halves, are we expecting to make a turnaround in the second half? Should we include the Cleveland Browns in that? based on the fact that they're going to get a pretty good quarterback back in 2 weeks. Their quarterback situation is going to change. They're 3-5. They're in the mix with wins already. With the win over the Bengals. I don't know who else they've beaten. I can't remember the entire schedule, but does Deshaun Watson have enough time to turn that around and get them in the playoffs?
They beat the Panthers.
Oh yeah, that was. So I mean, they were on their bye this week, correct? I think they're 3 and they're sitting at 3-5. Okay, so they got 2 more games before they get Deshaun Watson back. Does he have enough time to turn that team around and get them into a playoff situation? I think it's gonna be hard considering how many teams are winning in the AFC East. The wild cards are not. They're not going to be as easy to come by. I'm thinking the Jets have to be one of the teams that we're going to expect to see fall off. They're 6-3. Are we going to expect that team at the end of the season to have 10 wins, 11 wins? I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I do. They look really good. They're turning it around. I think they got assisted on Sunday, but it's a horrible day by Josh Allen. One of the worst games he's had as a professional. I think he's throwing interceptions that are just uncharacteristic. I mean, the first one he threw, it was almost like he intended it, like a little screen pass in the flat to the Jets defender. I don't think we're going to see a lot of that out of the Bills. I don't think we're going to see that a lot. Now, I have not heard today, but he walked off the field rubbing his right elbow yesterday, and I don't know the extent of that injury. I don't know if anything's been said or reported on that today. But if he's got an issue there that keeps him out a couple weeks, that's going to greatly reduce the Bills' chances of not just winning the division, but say they do win the division by home field advantage. That means they would have to go back to Kansas City and beat them there a second time in the playoffs. And that's not looking like it's going to be such an easy thing to do because the Chiefs didn't have such a great game on Sunday night, and they still beat a really good Tennessee team.
Yeah. Well, going backwards to go forward. As far as the Seahawks, I see them as one of the teams that's trailing down. And in the words of B-Live, which version of the Bengals going to show up? Which version of the Cincinnati Bengals are going to show up? With all world, yes, they're without Jamar Chase at the moment, but they do have Joe Mixon, and then they do have Hayden Hurst, the South Carolina Gamecock, who's a pretty good tight end. It's about time he got a good starting job, and so he fit in. B-Live hush. So they're taking what they got and making the most of it. So just imagine when they get Jamar Chase back, what can they do? But what they need to do is use that $180 million investment and protect Joe Burrow, aka the offensive line, your security. You got to get together. As far as the Jets, they may be middling. Like I said, as far as Seahawks goes, it's a nice start, but it's going to be a rocky finish to the end. The Browns, they're not all the way out of it. But then again, they got to learn how to, finish their opponents off. They got to learn how to finish their opponents off. And I don't know what the hell to make of either the Bucs or the Rams. I don't know. It's just like throw it up in the air and see which ones falls, because the Bucs nor the Rams, they're not convincing at all to me. They just don't seem convincing. Matt Stafford looks lost. I think he's Sam Darnold. He's seeing ghosts. Tom Brady going through whatever he's going through in his personal life that we don't need to bring back up. It's just, I think there's too much going on. Leonard Fournette don't have that big burst of speed like he used to.
They can't run the ball at all.
They can't run the ball at all.
The Bucs cannot run the ball at all. That's going to be a huge detriment to them. I don't even know how do you fix that? Like, you would think the offensive line played they did lose 3 offensive starters. That's where it's at. Tom Brady's still going to be Tom Brady because he knows how to get the ball out quickly. He knows how to overcome that. Their run game is just it does not exist.
Non-existent.
Yeah, you need that. You need that. You got to have that play action threat to open up some of those lanes for the receivers. Yeah. But having said that, I do think they will have enough to win the division, get to the play. Maybe not make a deep playoff run, but to get there. That's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah, they have to get there by default. Yeah,
right, exactly. The one team to me that is such a puzzle and having such a bizarre season is this Colts team. This is a team that was maybe a quarterback away from being very serious last year with their defense and their skill players. And you go out and you get Matt Ryan and you sell him on the fact that you're going to have Jonathan Taylor and a couple good receivers to throw to. When they get 6 weeks into the season, they're in contention in this division. They say, you're not playing anymore at all. You are now not only the starter, you're not even second string. You're going to sit. This is coming from Irsay now because he knows that he's going to have to pay more if Matt Ryan gets injured, and there's an injury bonus next year. He's already guaranteed, I believe, like $12 million next year, and then he would be getting another 17 should Matt Ryan play it out and get hurt. They are clearly not trying to win the division at this point.
No.
So they put in Sam Ellinger, and when he goes out and lays an egg, they fire the head coach and pluck Jeff Saturday off the ESPN set and put him in as coach. What is going on with this kind of rationale in Indianapolis? I feel like Jim Irsay might be hitting the old Johnny Walker a little bit too hard up in the press box because none of this is making any sense.
No.
I know Matt Ryan didn't get off to a great start, but he had like a 200-300-yard games. He had a win over the Chiefs. It wasn't like he was completely terrible. He's still making his way with this team. And you just sit him down like you basically are tanking, throwing in the towel, and you're saying he's not going to play again. You had to sell Matt Ryan on even coming to town in the first place. He's a lifelong Falcon. And you go and you get him with the promise that we have a team that really just needs you. We need a quarterback, and you are it. All we need is you to take care of the game and manage us. We got a great running game. Just get us there. Our defense is going to help. And that thing has come apart in a big, bad way.
Yeah.
Awful.
You are right about that because I was going to say the Raiders was one of the biggest mysteries. But like you said, the Colts, I'm like, okay, they got that defense. They got a quarterback. Okay, they got somebody that's going to lead them. Somebody that's going to, like, not be as mistake prone as who was the quarterback that they had? Carson Wentz. Walking to him Wentz, or Shannon Sharp likes to call him. Will be less mistake prone. Who's somebody, a veteran that's been there before. You know what I'm saying? The only thing he does, like, went to the Super Bowl and lost, never forget 328. But yet still, it's just the fact, okay, the missing piece, like you said, he's going to be sold around having some good young wide receivers and Jonathan Taylor doing what he's doing. And then the offensive line, they just moving bodies, Quentin Nelson and crew and all that. And then the defense. I'm like you, Scottie D, what in the hell happened? And then the coach gets fired. Like, it's I don't know, man.
Yeah, you make him bench the quarterback that you went out and paid for.
Yeah.
And then when it's not working out, then you fire the I don't know. Very, very strange circumstance. And to replace him with Jeff Saturday, who was not like on the staff, he was working for ESPN.
Yep,
I mean, very, very strange. Very strange.
Zero collegiate and professional coaching experience. Zero.
Yeah.
None. He coached a little bit in high school in Georgia, but he's been an analyst. That's a big, big leap. I don't know.
I mean, I know the guy knows football, but there's a difference between knowing football and
being a head coach.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
very bizarre circumstances in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
But they are all in for a number one pick. They are trying not to win at this point, it appears.
How my mate said back in the day, oh, you really don't want to win, huh? You really don't want to play no football and win no games, huh? You really don't want to win. But yeah, fellas, we're at the official halfway point of the season because, we got an extra game added to the schedule. So there's a lot more to be said in the world of the National Football League. Saturday night in the world of Major League Baseball, a champion was crowned, the Houston Astros. In the city of Houston, Texas, you hear yays and the collective boo across the country. Yeah, those are non-Astros fans that you are hearing. So, fellas, I got a question for each one of you. So let's get into it. Let's talk about some baseball, all right? The World Series wrapped up this weekend, and, of course, Houston wins. Scottie D, do we consider the Astros a dynasty at this point? What say you?
I would say you could say that being in this modern era, they have been to 4 out of the past 6 and won 2 of them. Had they lost this, the answer would be a definitive no. But not only have they won this one, they might be in the process of winning more. If you look at this team, the guys that are on that starting lineup, these guys at this point seem to have the premier franchise, not just team on the field, but franchise in baseball. if you look at the guys that were on this team contributing, Kyle Tucker, Jeremy Pena, who's a rookie and wins the MVP, Jordan Alvarez, who has a case to be the regular season MVP. So even some of the guys that have moved on, all these guys like Carlos Correa, so these guys that they've all come up through the system. These are like homegrown talent. Other than going out and getting a Verlander to add, these are guys that are like homegrown or brought up through the minor league system. And I hate saying it, but we might be watching these guys in the World Series again next year and possibly the year after if they maintain their pitching, because this core of guys are young. It's a young team. You know, Jeremy Pena wins the MVP. He hit over 400 and had arguably the best series of anybody that played. But to me, the most important player in this World Series was Christian Javier, because you're in Philadelphia now. You're down 2-1 in Game 4, and Philly just bombed the ball in Game 3. They multiple home runs. They got Javier coming to the mound. The following day is going to be Verlander, who the Astros or who the Phillies busted up in Game 1. It's possible Philly could wrap this thing up at home and it doesn't even get back to Houston. And all Javier does is go out and pitch 6 no-hit innings, and it completely turned everything. That set up the group no-hitter. That set up Verlander to piggyback off of that the next night, piggyback off of that the following night. And the Phillies never seemed to recover from that situation. They went from hitting the ball out of the park left and right to struggling to get on base just to get hits for the rest of the series along the way. So I believe, you know, if you look at like the past several years where the Dodgers are in the playoffs year in, year out, they are seemingly the best team in baseball, but they're not getting World Series wins. The Astros, for them to get 2 in 6 years, I think you could possibly consider them a dynasty, at least a dynasty in the making. And some of these guys on this team, you know, they weren't even part of the scandal of 2017. So I think it was important for this team to win this, because 1-3 and 2-2 in World Series, that's a huge difference. This kind of maybe validates the you know what happened in 2017.
Yep. So with that being said, B-Live, does this help ease some of the pain, some of the stank, if you will, of the cheating scandal in 2017? Stank, B-Live.
Nope. Absolutely not. You know why? Tom Brady is still considered the greatest of all time in football, but we'll never not talk about Spygate and Deflategate. I think I will say I'll give him a pinch, but because 7 times, that's why we now can say that Tom Brady. It took him 7, 6. I was still debating with Joe Montana. 7, I was like, all right, I'll finally give it to him. But the Houston Astros, it's too soon. It's just they've been good, and they're literally the villains of Major League Baseball. They're the villains. So there's gonna be hate. Now, on a side note, Houston Astros, they have a single A affiliate here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and Christian Javier actually played in the inaugural season here in Fayetteville. I got to see him in Fayetteville, and now to see him as a World Series champion, that's a big deal here with the Woodpeckers organization. And I'm trying to get on with them. Hey, let me get in the booth. I'm trying to announce something. Oh, man. But yeah, some good friend of mine, Paul and Brittany, they went to Philly when it got rained out, unfortunately. But hey, World Series champions. The Woodpeckers get to be a part of that as well. But yeah, unfortunately, it's too soon. If I say give it about 2 or 3 more years, if they win another one, they throw another one together, then you respect the talent that's on the field, but it's just too soon. But hey, winning cures
So you don't feel like
everything.
this validates them at all? I mean, I'm sure they're feeling that way. Like, yeah, we showed you could do this without banging on a trash can. How do you like me now? I'm sure they're taking on. They've got some of them. I mean, some of those guys weren't even on that team. That's what I'm saying. That they keep pumping out good young talent year in and year out. But for some of these older guys,
I'll say this: I don't think there was ever a doubt that the Houston Astros weren't talented.
Oh, sure. I agree.
So it's one of those things where the validation was really only a PR spot. I don't think they ever needed to bang on trash cans to get an advantage, but they did. So
yeah.
So this is one of those things. They were talented enough beforehand, but it's just because it happened and because of the time frame of it, it's still fresh. It's still fresh. There's a lot of people across the nation still can only think of the Houston Astros as banging on trash cans, even though they just won it and been for the past 6 years. They can be close. They're close in modern era of taking the mantle of the evil empire it used to be the New York Yankees. People, younger generation, they don't remember how dominant the Yankees were and how much money, the payroll they pumped out in their mid-late 90s, how dominant they were, and then how many they don't remember that Yankees team. So if they're thinking about the younger generation right now, thinking of villains of baseball, it's your Astros. And I think that mantra sticks with them just a little bit longer. Let them win another one.
Yeah.
I think that it'll come off, but still too fresh for me. I don't know.
Well, one guy who's not a villain is Dusty Baker, and he was the one person that I was actually happy for on Saturday night because I don't like Bregman. I'll be honest, I can't stand Alex Bregman. I don't like that dude. I'm not an Altuve guy because he hit the home run to eliminate the Yanks with maybe he had a device on him and there's all that confidence. I don't know about that. But Dusty Baker, how can you not like the dude? He's cool. He's 110 years old. He's got the shades and toothpick, the hat pulled low. He's cool. He's wearing black gloves for some reason. I mean, how can you not like Dusty?
Uncle Dusty.
I can remember when I was a kid. I remember as a kid watching Dusty play in the World Series when he played for the Dodgers. And here we are all these years later, and he gets his first World Series win. And, they were, I think Dusty was like, 5 outs away from winning the World Series in 2002 when he was managing the Giants. And they had the lead in the 8th inning, and it all came apart, and they lost to the Angels in 7 games. And at that point, I was rooting for him back then as well. And, yeah, I think you kind of got to be happy for Dusty. He's the one guy I can say, all right, okay, Houston, good on you for that.
Yeah, I mean, he took the job and got there last year, lost to the Braves, and then came back strong the following year and won it all. So so shout out to Dusty Baker and Houston, Texas, Houston Astros, as they say in H-Town, and our quote is going down in H-Town. But guess what else is going down? Coming right up, we're going to talk about college football. And that means it's time for the Be Live Top 5. Coming right up after this on the Sports Bros Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. Boys, girls, chickens, moose, meese, geese, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkey, ram, you name it. Here it is, the Be Live Top 5.
Oh, I bring this to you with such pain. It hurts deep inside.
It hurts.
But it is what it is. Clemson, you're just not there. This weekend hurt, but it did not hurt. It wasn't just me that was hurting as well. A lot of teams went down this weekend. Number 1, number 4, and number 6 all go down this weekend. So guess what? There's been a shakeup in the Be Live Top 5. And I'm going to go ahead and start off with the controversy. Because we only have 4 undefeated teams left, that means my top 5 has to include a team with 1 loss. So coming in at number 5, who do I pick? They both, the 2 teams I'm considering, both played the same team. They both lost. Their 1 loss has been to the same team. One was in a more spectacular fashion. But the reason why I picked this team is that they still have a chance. They're leading their conference. They most likely, if everything goes according to plan, will win their conference. And I think that puts them a step ahead, even though the other team has a better resume. I'm sorry, I like conference championships. So number 5 has to go to the Oregon Ducks. Oregon coming in at number 5. They're currently leading the Pac-12, undefeated in their conference. Their only loss is against Georgia, same as Tennessee. Tennessee was the other team that I was contemplating about putting at number 5. Tennessee's going to be on the outside looking in. They need help. Oregon also needs help, but they're going to get that help when Ohio State and Michigan face each other because one of them has to go down. So coming in at number 4, undefeated TCU. And the road just seems to get a little bit easier because nobody else wants to take that second spot in the Big 12. Because as it sits right now, Texas has, I believe Texas, give me just a moment, because I think Texas and, Texas and Baylor right now, and Kansas State, they're all tied at 4-2 for that second spot. So I will need to look into that to see who's going to be the front runner for that second spot. But they all have 2 losses in the conference, while TCU is still undefeated. So we shall see how that goes down. Going into number 3, this should be pretty easy how everybody thinks about it. Number 3 is going to be your Michigan Wolverines. I know I'm going to catch some flack because, Michigan made me. I think Michigan played better than Ohio State this past weekend. Well, Ohio State was playing in a monsoon, so that's why they didn't score that much. But you got to look at all the elements and everything. But it doesn't matter where I put Michigan and Ohio State because they will face each other and decide everything on the field. Number 2 coming in is Ohio State. You already know who my number 1 team is. And I'm going to go ahead and apologize on the air because I've been disrespectful to them. Number 1, the Georgia Bulldogs. I will not mention Kent State. I will not mention Mizzou again. I apologize. I am so sorry. Y'all do not have to disrespect Tennessee like that. You showed us exactly who you are. That wasn't even close.
Statement. Wasn't even close. They're go ahead.
There's that statement win that you're looking for, B Live. That statement wins.
They did, man. Tennessee
they didn't like not being the number 1 team. They had a chip on their shoulder.
Ooh.
You give a team that good a chip on your shoulder and a reason to be mad. Woo.
Man. That was brutal.
And they said, watch this.
Tennessee got that touchdown in garbage time. They should have never gotten that touchdown. It was not that close. Georgia, by far, clearly the number 1 team in the country. Man, oh man. But you know how I like to do things because for teams that show up and show out, there has to be teams that just, we like to say, overrated. You are not who we thought you were, and we will not let you off the hook. So I'm coming in hot with the Be Live not top 5. And coming in at number 5, this is going to be a tough one, but I have to do it. Sorry, Uncle Max. Misery loves company. So I got to go with the Alabama Crimson Tide at number 5. The reason why. I still don't believe LSU is one of the top 10 teams in the country. The college football playoff thought they were. They lost to Florida State. Yeah. But somehow, with 2 losses, they found a way into the top 10, only to boost Alabama's strength of schedule because Alabama really ain't played nobody. But Alabama loses in overtime to LSU, fake Cajun voice Brian Kelly, LSU. Now they feeling themselves down there, and LSU is in the lead for the SEC West and to make it to the SEC championship. LSU, woo, makes things very, very interesting indeed. That may have helped Tennessee. Don't know. Georgia wins out. LSU loses, and Tennessee goes 11-1. They might just sneak in to the college football playoff. I don't want them to because that's not how I like to roll. But Alabama, what happened? 2-loss Alabama. What happened? Coming in.
It's got to be the earliest they've had 2 losses since Saban's been there, I would think. Because there haven't been many seasons where they lost 2 total. But in early November, I can't imagine there being another Alabama team since Saban's been there that lost 2 times by November 7th. That's crazy to me. By a total of 4 points, by the way.
you got it. No, 2 points.
Is that they lost by Tennessee by 2?
No. Alabama didn't lose to Tennessee. I lied. Alabama lost to Tennessee by 3. You're right. I'm thinking about how they won against Texas by 1. They should have lost that game. My bad. You're right. That's fine. Coming in hot at number 4. Oh, man, you think you start to believe in somebody and then they let you down. Kansas State. You are in the driver's seat to get to the Big 12 championship as the number 2 seed. But you let Texas come into your house? Hook 'em horns, Texas. Now they're sitting in the driver's seat because you're both 4-2, but they have the head matchup. That's what you know what I was trying to say.
Head-to-head matchup. I got you.
But yeah. So now Kansas State, you need some help to get to the Big 12 championship. And once again, the Big 12 is beating up on themselves, except for TCU. Man, oh man, we shall see. Coming in at number 3. This actually hurts 2 teams that are in the top 5. But the Fighting Illini of Illinois, losing to Sparty, Illinois. They're still the front runners for the Big Ten, the Big Ten West. They're still the front runners to make it to the Big Ten championship. But now they're a 2-loss team. They may fall out of rank. I haven't checked the latest rankings, but I know that they're not going to be highly ranked. It doesn't help the Big 10 when it comes to their quote unquote their reputation. That helps Ohio State and Michigan be ranked that high. Right now, it's already looking like whoever loses that game, Ohio State and Michigan, they're out. They need help. So Fighting Illini, you're supposed to represent just a little bit better. But it just proves that the Big Ten is top heavy. There's Ohio State, there's Michigan, and that's about it. Coming in at number 2. I got to beat up on them again. I beat up on them last week. They didn't listen. So they're overrated once again. Oklahoma State. You get goose egged 48-0 against Kansas State. So you're supposed to have revenge against the state. You're supposed to come in and handle that basketball school that is Kansas. But you lose by 21. So you've lost by a combined 69 points to the state of Kansas. Oklahoma State, what happened? But you know what time it is. My number 1 Overrated. My number one team in the Be Live, not top 5. The Clemson Tigers. You get the vote. The college football playoff puts you in at number 4. I didn't even put you in because I was afraid of this. You hadn't convinced me, and I'm your biggest fan. But what in the entire world happened to our run defense? We got horses on our defensive line that will play on Sundays. And y'all took the night off. They broke contain time after time after time. O-line beat up on our D-line. What happened? Everybody they're laughing.
They lost. Notre Dame's the team that lost to Marshall, right?
I swear to God.
Did they lose to Marshall earlier? I was just trying to refresh my memory.
No, I'm not refreshing the damn thing.
I'm just trying to remember back to some.
See, first of all, see, here's the thing. You already know how much pain this is. You see, this is what we were talking about earlier off the air. Is the fact that you know what buttons to push, and you know how much this.
I wasn't even talking about Clemson. I was talking about another school.
Scott, shut up. Yes, Notre Dame lost to Marshall. Yes, Notre Dame lost to Stanford.
Ooh, yes. That's a bad one.
Yeah. Give me. How much money do you have in your bank account to keep giving me your 2 cents? I don't want your 2 cents. I don't want it. I can do this well on my own, calling Clemson overrated. I can do well all by myself. I'm wearing the shirt. You see, there was no guts brought. They didn't bring no guts. They didn't BYO nothing. That's what. Why am I? Come on. What? Whew.
I can't believe we got beat that way.
If you weed something, boy, oh my God.
Can't believe we lost late, but it happened. We all have a bad week once in a while. We all have a bad week.
All right, so that's Be Live with the Be Live top 5 and the not top 5.
See, the thing about it is that celebrate the fact that your Pittsburgh team beat Syracuse. Syracuse has lost 3 games in a row. 2 teams, Wake Forest lost as well. So the whole SEC lost. So now we lose 2 teams in the rankings. Everybody's just weak. Clemson's out of the playoffs. Alabama's out of the playoffs. This is the first time ever, and it's most likely going to happen, that Clemson and Alabama are both out of the playoffs. First time ever since the induction of the college football playoffs. So,
wow.
No Saban, no swing. All roads lead to Dabo. The road to the playoff this year does not.
Ooh, we'll get him next year. When we get rid of DJ Ukulele, we'll be better next year.
Who is this? You got one more time.
All right. So with that being said, any final words before we head up out this segment of the show?
Just say this video that cow manure eating grin that Scottie D has on there.
I got it. I'm saving it on a hard drive as we speak. Be Live, we're gonna put you in good spirits, man. Once again, thank you for the Be Live top 5 and the not top 5. But looking at my phone because my watch died, guess what time it is, fellas?
Something. Just time for something else. Just get us
to cheer us up.
Our favorite part of the show.
Yeah, yep, you're all right. It is our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices, and it is fully loaded this week. Just like some loaded mashed potatoes. All right, loaded mashed potatoes. Those sound really good right now. Anyways, with that being said, hey, yo, Button, hit it. Choices of the voices coming right up after this.
And And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and back up Scott. Ever so loving Miss Button for introducing our favorite portion of the show, the choices of the voices. Before I go any further, I will tell you, the listeners and the viewers right now, some of this behind the scenes stuff is just hilarious. It's just sometimes we come in just grinning, and I'm surprised we had to do multiple takes, but that's neither here nor there. Choices of the voices. We give you the question, you give us the answer. We talk about it, and from the looks of it, we got a bunch of participation this week. So I'm not going to waste any more time. Scottie D, what's on tap this week for the choices of their voices, Butter?
Going to the memory lane here. When you were just a young sports bro or a young sports sis, what NFL player caught your attention and made you be a fan? Who is your, basically, first favorite player? Eddy Kool, what did the people say?
The people said a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you. The people said a lot. Shout out to Be Live with the everyone or everybody tag. Which one is it?
Everyone. Everyone.
I still like everybody. Anyways, enough of me trying to sing. All right, here we go. Let's get into it. Stephen Delamore, he said mine was actually multiple players. For me, it was Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith duel for best back in the league, and LaDainian Tomlinson after that. So he picked Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, and LaDainian Tomlinson. All right. Jonathan Wood, he said Brett Favre and only Brett. Never been a big NFL guy. I love watching him play. One of the toughest players to ever play the game. And Ray Lewis was second on my list. Jordan White says Julius Hot Peppers. All right. Bruce Wilkinson, he also said, not Julius Peppers, but he said Lawrence Taylor. Like some crazed dogs. That's a good choice there. Joe Aguirre, he says Aikman, Smith, and Irving, the triplets, growing up in the 90s. Football was a big deal in the house, and my dad did big Super Bowl parties for the Cowboys. Thomas Hogan.
I had to get on my boy Joe Dab. He spelled Irvin wrong. I was like, I'm gonna assume with the names you put up there, he's a big Cowboys fan too. So I figured you appreciate that, Scottie D. Is one of my
like those
here.
choices.
Yeah, very nice.
All right, Thomas Hovis, he said Barry Sanders, Jerry Rice, and Prime Time, baby, Deion Sanders. If I ain't sweat, who's sweat? All right, Patrick Wilson, he said Bo Jackson. Zoe Pate, he also said Lawrence Taylor. The Hall of Famer himself, Uncle Max, says Bart Starr, Johnny Unitas, Dick Puckus. Only got 2 games per week then. So there was great anticipation to see them play.
I thought Jim Thorpe was going to be his answer.
I knew you was going to do it. I knew it. Damn it. I knew it.
Autogram or White Tittle. I thought
he mentioned 2 games a week because back in those days, we didn't have the NFL network. We didn't have all of the access to the games, the Sunday ticket, all that stuff. So we got to see 1 game at 1 and 1 game at 4, baby. I want to throw in there Josh, Max Baker. He threw in there Steve Young and Brett Favre. Want to throw that in there as well. And Uncle Max, I'm surprised he didn't say Karen Rodgers. I figured that would be his inspiration.
Oh, Max is having some Karen Rodgers issues right now, man. He is hot to trot on Green Bay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say this on the air, Uncle Max. I feel you. This weekend was not good for you either. Like, oh man, Alabama and Green Bay. And Green Bay is just like Green Bay, you think they still have a chance. Me, Carolina, I knew it was gonna be not that well.
No.
But my hope got up last week and almost died. And then so I watched the game this week foolishly and just watched Cincinnati beat the brakes off of us. But that's neither here nor there. I wasn't even cute to watch. I was like, why am I watching this game? Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Moving right along. We got Abe Ortiz. What's happening, nephew? He said T.O. Deion Sanders. Deion was the first guy I seen lock down somebody. Yeah, had somebody on lockdown, all right? Made me fall in love with the defensive side of the ball. T.O. brought the fun of the league to my attention. The thrill of going out there and just knowing no one was better than you. T.O. One of my favorite celebrations. Matty Ice Martin Tracy said Larry Bird, Carlton Fisk. He said, oh, wait, NFL is still 33. He said, Tony Dorsett, he was the original reason why I wore 33. And Matty Ice, we love you, brother. He sent us a picture as well, too.
Matty Ice, you keep pushing the button, man. It'll be a permanent penalty box. You keep playing with me.
Hanging out with Bob Kraft. Oh, man. All right, Danny Wilson, he said, the first game I remember watching as a kid was Pittsburgh versus Houston. Ooh, old school football there. Donnie Shell and Earl Campbell had a brutal collision. Vicky broke some of Earl's ribs. Hooked after that. Also watching O.J. Simpson at the old Richfield Coliseum against the Browns when he played for the 49ers. Yeah, Richfield Coliseum. That's
wow.
I think that's south of Cleveland, if not mistaken. That's a long, long time ago. Bryson Sellers says Jerry Rice and Joe Montana, the dynamic duo. The best name in the game, Jojo Comfort said, I'd have to say Rocky Blyer, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Rocky Blyer. Even at a young age, I loved an underdog story and appreciate those who served our country. He wasn't the biggest, strongest, or fastest player, but he was tough as nails and was a consummate teammate and a team player. Okay, Rocky Blyer. I remember hearing a story about him. Brian Reynolds says Emmitt Smith. All right. Big Kenny, he says William, the refrigerator Perry. He gave us another one. He gave us another one too. I forgot to get that one. Tony Mello says Dan Marino. Eric Archery says Barry Sanders, Dan Marino, and Jerry Rice. Dane Brady said Bo Jackson, Emmitt Smith. I don't know what Sanders, so we're going to go with Dion and/or Barry and Joe Montana. Brian Lovell, he said Mean Joe Green, Terry Bradshaw, and Sweetness, Walter Payton. Kyle Postinkle said, one of the first memories I have seeing the Cowboys and 49ers square off. Watching Emmitt Smith and Jerry Rice show out helped me to fall in love with the sport. Magdalene Herring, she said, my first favorite is Curtis Martin when he was in the Patriots.
All right.
Yeah, New England Patriots. Yeah, a lot of people don't remember that. Curtis Martin did play for the Patriots a very long time ago. Reese Jenkins said Lawrence Taylor, Emmitt Smith, Deion Sanders, a.k.a. Primetime, Mr. Must Be the Money, because he had a song to remember. Jerry Rice and Randall Cunningham. Oh, I like that one. He said, used to watch the games and go outside and thinking I was them back in the day, playing some good old backyard football. I got some. Go ahead, B-Live.
I was going to say, I will give him props with the Randall Cunningham. That was low key. Like, that was like he was one of those, like, for a young, up and coming African American male during that time. He was definitely emulated by a lot of people. It was like Doug Williams was a little bit before our time. So like Randall Cunningham was one of the first people with him. Warren Moon was just a little bit before our time. So Randall Cunningham was like one of the first Black quarterbacks that we saw growing up. So that I will absolutely stand behind that one. I have to change my answer. I like that one.
All right, here we go. I think Brian Lovell gave us one, but he might have gave us some more. Terry Bradshaw and Walter Payton. Nope, he got that earlier. Anyways, all right, JR, friend to the show. What's going on, brother? He said Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. Clint Ayers said Brett Jones. Joey Jacobs.
That's actually Burt Jones. Burt Jones
okay.
was a quarterback for the Baltimore Colts.
Oh,
and in the late 70s, early 80s. Number 7, Burt Jones. He was a decent quarterback.
Okay. All right. Joey Jacobs says.
All right.
Oh, go ahead, be live.
Oh, but so yeah. Okay. Nice. That's nice. That's all it was. Right. That's all I
got. He said that's all I got. All right. Joey Jacobs says Roger, the Dodgers starback. All right. Sammy Poole says Brett Favre. William Georgia says Art Monk. Art Davis.
Monk.
Yes, sir. Art Monk.
Different one. One.
Yep. Michael Davis. He's another one that said Bo Jackson. And then Joel Turner said, I always played quarterback, whether it's in the backyard, Little League, JV, to high school. So I always loved the passes. Joe Willie Namath will always be my favorite. But growing up, we had Ken Anderson, Ken Stabler, Terry Bradshaw, and Jim Zorn, former Florida Gators head coach. Wasn't he the coach of the Seahawks at one point?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I think he was. One of my favorites.
No, he coached the Redskins. He played quarterback for the Seahawks. He was a Redskins coach.
Oh, okay. All right. Yes. He was a Redskins coach, and there was some more that wound up being a novel, a letter. Shout out to B Live for the highlights. Appreciate that. We love you, Joel. We really do.
Joe, we appreciate you, bro. But that was a whole book report that you typed out. Like, we're pressed for time. We gotta keep it moving.
He had some good names in his essay. Yeah. There's some good names.
Shout out to a real life NFL agent, Joel Turner. All right.
Yes, sir.
Corey Logren said Rod Woodson. Trina Dunn says, believe it or not, it was Tony Dorsett for me. Big Mike Clarity.
Packer fan.
Yep. Big Mike Clarity. He says Dion when he played for the 49ers. Mark O says, I was a running back in youth football, and my favorites were Earl Campbell, OJ, and my favorite was Walter Payton. Defense, I always admired Randy White. He played for Cowboys, right?
Yeah, the Manster.
Yep, Randy White. Craig Burns, he said, I was hooked when I saw Earl Campbell run for 199 yards and 4 touchdowns on Monday Night Football against the Dolphins back in 1978. And Tony Bogan, he got a podcast coming out soon. He says, I should not be saying this as a Saints fan. He says, but Tom, Edward, Fitzpatrick, Aloysius Brady. Aloysius. Yep. Aloysius Brady. Yep. And I got one more here that I got to summarize. I didn't want to leave out Ramon James. He mentions several factors. Number one, he said the selling of the Dallas Cowboys and the first ever cheerleaders around the sidelines made it bigger than life itself. All right. And then he said the brother showing up in the Cowboys outfit, America's team, even though they couldn't beat the Steelers. He said before Andre Rison, before the Dirty Birds, prime time, too legit to quit. There was William Andrews, Billy White Shoes Johnson, and Steve Barkowski. Then he said Doug Williams, James Wilder, Freddie Solomon. Let's see, John McKay was the first coach, I guess. He liked Dan Fouts. He loved Eric Coryell, the offense. Let's see.
This guy's closer to my age, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
He is. Ramon, he resides with me here in Fayetteville. One of my fellow bowlers. He is also a avid, diehard Jacksonville Jaguar fan. So he is a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, and he's also a Florida State Seminole. So me and him tussle a little bit as far as like because the Jaguars and the Panthers came into the league at the same time, and Seminoles and Clemson Tigers, we've been rivals since ever, and so. Yeah. So but a good, very good friend, a very good friend.
Oh, well, thank you for your answers, everybody. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in that same thread, my man Danny Wilson and Ramon James had a conversation. He said James Wilder is a very underrated running back, in my opinion. They ran him into the ground. Danny says he said he think he had like 400 carries in 1 year. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
I'll tell you that gets forgotten that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were terrible for so long, but they did have a little mini run there, and I want to say like 78, 79. Doug Williams and James Wilder won the team, and there was the Selman brothers, and they actually got to an NFC Championship game and lost. I think it was like 3 field goals kicked by the Rams to no score for the Buccaneers. Something crazy like that. Wasn't like a great game. Then the Rams went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Steelers for their fourth one. But the Buccaneers after that kind of went back to being what we knew of them for a long time, which was like perennial basement dwellers. But they did have a little run there with Doug Williams before he moved over to the Washington football team. We'll say.
Commander No Name Foot Team, them.
Yeah. I see a lot of these names we see repeated. You see like Walter Payton and Montana and Rice and Lawrence Taylor and Dion. And that's what makes these guys the stars that they are. These guys truly are the superstars that brought people into the league, made them be fans. And you can kind of see the disparity a little bit of the different age groups too. We don't have many young listeners because they don't have a whole lot of people that are saying like Michael Vick was my first favorite, or Peyton Manning, because these guys are a little bit more recent. So, but I liked hearing a couple of ones from like my era. Earl Campbell and Randy White from Markle. I like some of those. There's some good answers. Art Monk was one I didn't see come. I like that. That was interesting. Old receiver for Washington.
Yep. So with that being said,
we need to figure out a way to reach out to the younger crowd. We need Hunter, help us out with that. And what was it?
Yeah.
What was it Craig Burns, his son?
Yeah, James Burns. Yeah.
James, yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait a minute. Let's get that gallery view of Scottie D with his favorite jersey that he had on last week, and he's repping it again. Yep. And with that being
keeping
said,
it close by me here.
Yep. And with that being said, shout out to everybody for their participation in this week's Choices of the Voices. Scottie D, you holding up the jersey? Was that the one, or was there someone else?
No, I think that was probably because when I was just a little kid, and I'm 10 years older than you are, Eddy Kool. You're turning 40. I'm soon to be 50. So I got 10 years on you. But when I was just a youngin', Roger Staubach was like everything to Cowboys fans, and he was pretty much when I was getting into football phase, and he was on his way out the door. And Danny White was the quarterback of the Cowboys, and I kind of liked him, but I didn't love him the way I loved Tony Dorsett and the way he just kind of glided. He has a real unique running style. If you ever go back and watch some old clips of him breaking tackles, he had like a glide to him. It was a very smooth, very unique way he ran the football, and he was like the main hero of the Cowboys for us. He was kind of looked at a little bit as a villain among nationally in the early 80s, but for Cowboy fans, he was amazing. He was outstanding to watch. I know when I was a kid living here in Western Pennsylvania, we'd go play a lot of backyard football. And, you always, when you're that age, I'm going to be so and so, and I wanted to be Tony Dorsett, or I wanted to be Tony Hill or Drew Pearson. And there was one other kid in the neighborhood, a young African-American kid named Troy, who also was a Cowboy fan. And we were in the minority here in Steeler territory, but he also played on my youth football league as a quarterback. So when we would play youth football, Troy wanted to be Danny Black. That's what he called himself. I remember him as a Cowboy fan.
That's a good one.
He wanted to be Danny Black. So I wanted to be. Actually, for a year the Cowboys had a receiver named Doug Donley, who was from Ohio State. I liked him, and Troy wanted to be Danny Black. So that was one of my childhood memories playing backyard football. But Tony Dorsett was probably my first real favorite player. How about you, B-Live?
I'm gonna just throw out there just to piggyback off you when you mentioned Roger Staubach. Big deal to me because when it comes to the United States Naval Academy, not very, very, very few, if any, actually make it to the professional league because they have an obligation to the military after they graduate. For Roger Staubach to make it to the NFL, same thing with David Robinson making it to the NBA. That's a big deal at the Naval Academy. So those names will be always in high regard at the Naval Academy. I have a confession to make. I have a very big confession to make because I don't admit it that much.
Uh-oh.
You probably never heard me admit it in the 179 episodes of the SportsBros Podcast. I had a choice growing up of which team I was going to root for. And I teetered and tottered because my dad, he is a 49ers fan through and through, even to this day. My mom, on the other hand, she grew up a Washington Redskins, no-name football team, Commanders. She's still on the fence about that Commanders thing too. So I actually I watched both teams. I really leaned more towards the 49ers because they were more successful during the 90s when I was really watching football. But during the 80s, the Redskins got put together three Super Bowls at that point in time. So I got the chance, and the position I actually wanted to play, I never played football. The position I wanted to play wide receiver. I thought wide receiver was where it's at. You could make the catches, all of that. So my favorite player growing up was mentioned, and I'm also going to mention him as well, Art Monk.
Oh,
Art Monk.
Okay.
Art Monk. I was like, there was something about him, that connection with Mark Rippon. It was just, I've never been the type of person that was, if all the other kids like this guy, I won't say I didn't like Jerry Rice, but everybody liked Jerry Rice. I was like, I'd rather pick somebody else. I like to be unique. So Art Monk is definitely up there. And I got to give respect to John Taylor, Jerry Rice's counterpart on the other side of the ball for San Francisco. I liked him more because, hey, he produced just as well. I mean, you got to take some of the heat on the other side.
Yeah.
So,
game-winning touchdown against the Bengals in the Super Bowl.
Yep, absolutely. And so Art Monk and John Taylor were two players that I watched and really like.
Art Monk was classy, though. He was like a quiet, smooth, business-like kind of player. He wasn't like the flashy guy. And
right.
Although the Washington of that era had like some flash. They had like the fun bunch. They would score touchdowns with Ricky Sanders and Charlie Brown. These big flash receivers. But Monk just was quietly just always getting his work done. Now, I think for a while he even had the record for most consecutive games with a catch. I think it's been broken since then, but I know for a while he was that record holder of most consecutive games with a catch. So not my favorite player as a Cowboy fan, but he was one of those guys, you didn't hate him. You hate certain guys that you rival. You hated Joe Theismann as a Cowboy fan, but you didn't really hate Art Monk. What's to hate with Art Monk? He was such a classy individual. How about you, Eddy Kool?
All right. So as B Live and myself have mentioned before this podcast, the Carolinas at one point didn't have any professional sports franchise or sports teams. So admittedly, I was a Dallas Cowboys fan, right? I was a Dallas Cowboys fan because as the three of us know, like the area that we resided in South Carolina, you had Cowboys, 49ers, Steelers, the Washington football team. Yeah. You name it, you just had a hodgepodge of people just in one area.
Just sneak in a little bit Atlanta Falcons, sneak in just a little bit.
Yeah, I had a little bit of the Atlanta Falcons and any other teams, and that's and that was really it. So that region had like a lot of a mixed fan base. Once Carolina came along, it was like we finally got something that's our own. But going back pre-Carolina, one of my favorite players that really got me into the game and really wanted me, I'm like, hey, I think I want to try playing football when I get older, get to school and get of age. I would say Emmitt Smith. It would have to be.
That's a fantastic answer.
Yeah, just watching it, just watching like Big Mark Tuanay and the other lineman. I forgot. Was it Leon Lett? No, who was on offense?
He was defense. Eric Williams and Nate Newton.
Yeah, Eric Williams, Nate Newton, and Larry Allen, when they parted that Red Sea, you couldn't see them, but number 22 just shoulders and eyes and just moving around. And the thing about Emmitt, like Emmitt was like an in-between the tackles guy. He really didn't have, a whole lot of shucking and jiving and juking and all that other stuff. He was just north, south, open this hole. I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go there. And Emmitt Smith was just like an exciting. He was so exciting. But the thing about it was, growing up, I knew I wasn't that damn fast. Okay, I was not that damn fast. And then I realized, maybe I should play defense. And then the guy that really got me into it would be the Minister of Defense, Reggie White. R.I.P. to the Hall of Fame level himself, Reggie White, because he was big, strong, raw bone. He didn't wear no gloves. He'd take that arm and hit you with it like that and move you from here to Connecticut. And you couldn't do nothing. Reggie White was Reggie White was a force. Right? Reggie White was a force. You couldn't stop him. And I used to watch videos of him and another guy, y'all remember Simeon Rice? I liked him too.
Yeah.
Simeon Rice, like, how the defensive ends would have that stance? Simeon Rice would be like this far from the ground. He would be like 3 or 4 inches from the ground. It would just explode, pop up, and hit people. Like, I tried it a few times in a few games. That didn't work. That didn't work. The coach said, boy, if you don't stand your ass up. If you don't stand your ass up and get in that 2-point stance. This is high school. I'm like, but I was watching Simeon Rice. Great example, son. You get that one if you keep trying, but as right now, you just stand up. Okay, coach, cool, no problem. It was just, but I would have to say Emmitt Smith was the one that really hooked me in there and had me fall in love with football. Yes, it would be.
I like it.
Yeah. With that being said, shout out to everybody, all 11 of y'all, because it was a lot. It was a lot, and we love it. We love it. We love it.
Especially those of you who picked the many, many different Cowboys whose names were on this list.
That's not necessary.
That's not necessary.
All right. That's not at all. Even though you, Eddy Kool, I didn't know you grew up a Cowboys fan. I think we learned a little bit more about each other through this question. You're welcome.
Yep. Because my brothers and them, Everett and Mike, and a few of their buddies, they grew up 49ers fans, because I think from what my brother Mike used to tell me, the 49ers would frequent the North Myrtle Beach area, and they would eat at Hoskins Restaurant. And I think my brother Michael was working at Hoskins Restaurant at the time, along with my brother Everett. And I guess they'd be like, hey man, you guys just surfer, need to drive or whatever. So they would drive them all up and down 17. Like, I'm like, wow, my brother was hanging out with Jerry Rice, Dwight Clark, Roger Craig, and like some other guys, probably Randy Cross and all them. Like, wow, I'm like, that's pretty damn unique. When he told me that story, I was like, you don't say. Had him at that old Crazy Zach's club. Be Live, you probably remember that. Scottie D, might be remember Crazy Zach's too. All of them used to be over there.
Yeah.
That little area, Main Street, was in back in the 80s. Ooh boy, if I can't tell you all the stories, I just know some of them, because everybody business ain't nobody business. Shout out to my brother Everett for that one. All right, with that being said, that's it for the choice of the voices. But before we go, Scottie D, what's on tap for next week?
All right, we had an NFL coaching firing on Monday. Frank Reich of the Colts being the second coach to get fired this season, Matt Rule being the first from Carolina. And it got me thinking, in your opinion, what college football coach who took an NFL head coaching job did the worst job? I think I know B-Live's answer. I'll wait till next week to see if I can guess. But we've seen many examples of guys that were good college football head coaches. They get the position in the NFL, and then it just goes all to pfft. So who, in your opinion, what college football coach took an NFL head coaching position and did the worst job? And Eddy Kool, that'll give us something to talk about next week.
I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to talk about next week. You can guess my answer, and you are absolutely correct. That is my answer. But I'm not giving them the time of day next week. I'm going to come up with somebody different, because I'd rather talk about somebody else besides that one coach. He will not get any more time from me on this podcast. I said what I said.
I know exactly who it is. I know who it is. Oh, I know exactly who it is.
He will not at all. I swear to.
We'll give you a hint. You should have went home with the team, all right?
Exactly. Swear to.
Yeah. All right, with that being said, tune in next week for another edition of the Choices of the Voices. You can find the question on our Facebook like page and also the Sports Bros family group, because sometimes we'll just tag everybody. Ow. I'm sorry. It's my birthday baby, and I'm cutting up. I'm mad because I didn't have a chance to go to the store and get a party hat because I would have worn it.
I appreciate everybody, everyone that participated, and not getting annoyed by getting tagged with the whole everyone. We really do appreciate the participation, and we love hearing from our family. And we're by the fan, for the fan, and we stick to that. We appreciate it. Yes, sir.
That song had a dope bass line. I'm sorry, y'all. Pepper coming up shortly. No sneezing, no singing. Come right back. SportsBros Podcast.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
You heard the woman, it's time for us to go home and get the hell up out of here. But before we go, we're going to end it with a round of pepper. You know how we do it. 3 topics, rapid fire style, kind of, sort of, not really, here to engage, enlighten, educate, and entertain. All 4 E's. That's essential in no particular order. Ooh, I threw a 5th in there. Essential. I did that. If only people knew how long I struggle to get that game together. But at last, we're here. All right. So I'll go first. On this day in history, on November 8th, I was born. But aside from me being born, let's go over some notable birthdays in the sports world. All right. On this day, back in 1916, Frank McGuire, who was an American basketball coach who won 550 games in 30 college seasons, was born in New York City on this day back in 1916. Another guy with the same birthday as yours truly, Bobby Bowden, the head ball coach, all right? He coached at Florida State for forever. I'm sorry. He from 1976 to 2009. And 2 national championships, one in 93 and one in 99. And he was born in Birmingham, Alabama on this day. New Japan professional wrestling superstar Kazuchika Okada, or should I say Kazuchika? Okada. If you're going to say the names, say it right, all right? He was also born on this day back in 1987. He's a multi-time New Japan IWGP heavyweight champion. Also born on the same day in the same year on this side of the pond, Sam Bradford, a guy that got a bunch of money, all right? He was a Heisman Trophy winner back in 2008. Yep, he graduated from University of Oklahoma, the Offensive Rookie of the Year of 2010 for the St. Louis Rams. He was born in Oklahoma City on this day. And Scottie D, and also Brian's favorite name, the butcher, Juan Carlos Stanton, also known as John Carlos Stanton. He was born in Panorama, California on this day back in 1989. So shout out to all y'all that got birthdays on November the 8th. Over to you, Scottie D.
All right. This is the week, I think, of the Odell Beckham Jr. sweepstakes. Odell, as you remember, blew his knee out back in the Super Bowl playing for the Rams. He actually had a pretty good little run with the Rams before that injury and was actually having a pretty good game in the Super Bowl. He's saying that he is narrowing his choices down to 4 teams. The Giants to reunite with that old franchise where you got to start. The Bills, the Packers, and you know who the 4th team is? Your Dallas Cowboys. Now, Odell has never been my favorite player. I've never been his biggest fan. But old Jera sure would like to get himself a wide receiver since he missed out on Jerry Jeudy and Brandon Cooks at the trade deadline. So OBJ and Dallas making one-handed crazy grabs in a Cowboy uniform. Can't say that I'd be necessarily against it. Who knows? But the sweepstakes are on for Odell Beckham Jr. Be Live, over to you.
Green Bay ain't made no moves neither. I don't know what the hell's Romeo Dobbs. Anyways, play Be Live. Play.
Oh, man. It would actually – he should go back to the Giants. I think that could be because their wide receiver play has not been that strong. He could give them that boost that may but
he might want to go to the Super Bowl, so that's why he's probably going to want to be with the Cowboys. So just
the Cowboys and the Giants have the same record right now. So I mean, I don't know. So I mean,
he'll probably go to the Super Bowl with the Cowboys if he wants to. Problem with going to the Cowboys, they have a quarterback he can't throw, so that could be a problem too. So.
That's your boy. His guaranteed money, $127 million guaranteed. Oh man, Danny Dimes is on the last year of his contract. Will they give him a little piece of money? What's going to happen with that? All right.
Got to pay 2 running backs then.
All right. My first pepper point, it's interesting. And I'm actually going to need to do a little bit more research. And maybe Scottie can help me out. The Hall of Fame committee in baseball, Major League Baseball, released its 8-player contemporary baseball era ballot just yesterday on Monday. And the contemporary baseball era ballot essentially is the Veterans Committee. If you don't get voted on by the writers, you are they then choose. It looks like it's 8 players that they choose that can go into the Hall of Fame under the Veterans Committee. Notable names on this list are as follows. The ever controversial Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Kurt Schilling is on this list. They also have Albert Bell, Don Mattingly, Fred McGriff, Dale Murphy and Rafael Palmeiro. Notably absent from this ballot, however, is Sammy Sosa. And also, no Mark McGwire on this list, but I don't think he's eligible anymore. But I know that Barry Bonds, this was his last year. Roger Clemens, I believe there was the last.
These guys, I think, all have come off of the regular ballot. I think you get 10 years on the regular ballot, and then you come off, and then it goes to this. Right. So I'm not sure if maybe McGwire might have another year. I don't know why he would, because he's been gone for a long time as well. So I'm not sure what the deal is with Mark McGwire, but yeah, he's not on this either.
Right. And so, and essentially, the 16-person committee, which consists of Hall of Fame players, baseball executives, and veteran sports writers, they will vote on the players at the winter meetings on December 4th. A player must receive 12 votes to be elected. So, vote Barry Bonds in, get him in there. Just get the man in there. Let's just stop all the. We shall see, because there's some notable names on there. Dale Murphy, Fred McGriff, Albert Bell, Don Madden. Man, I think every one of them has an argument to make it into the Hall of Fame. So
they really do. All of them are bubble players, and there's even talk that McGriff could get a little bit of swelling of support because he was playing during that as a non-steroid player during the steroid era, and hit with considerable power. He bounced around for a few different franchises, but the bulk of his damage was done with the Braves and Padres, I believe, were like his two, maybe a early stint with the Blue Jays. But he was a guy that certainly looked like a power hitter before everybody started hitting 40, 50 home runs, at a clip. And McGriff is one of those guys that's looked at as a clean player. So he could get rewarded, but it's going to definitely be interesting to see how these committees go with this. So yeah, B-Lab, I like your point there.
So we shall see. Eddy Kool, the ball.
I would love to see Albert Bell in there and give his Hall of Fame speech. I'll knock you out like I knocked out Fernando Vina. Hey, let's not. Albert, your thugging days are over with. You got that bad hip, so don't do nothing silly. All right. So for the second time, for the second consecutive season, a member of the Snitker family wins a World Series. Now, last year, Brian Snitker won his first as a manager for the Atlanta Braves. And his son this year, Troy Snitker, who was a hitting coach for the Houston Astros, guess what? He wins a ring as well, too. So I guess you could say it's going to be happy times during Thanksgiving at the Snitker household, because Daddy going to be like, I got a ring. And son going to be like, guess what, Daddy? I got one, too. So shout out to the Snitker family, man. Been reading about him a little bit, toiling around in the minors for a while. His career ended because he due to a concussion, and he's been coaching ever since. And from what it looks like, at the tender age of 33 years old, Troy might know what the hell he's doing. So who knows, man? We might see Troy Snitker being a skipper one day in Major League Baseball. Over to you, Scottie D.
Okay, so let me just go local here with my little Pittsburgh team. The Steelers are suffering right now, and we know about the Pirates. It's constant suffering. But over this past NHL offseason, the Penguins came up short once again in the postseason last year, and there was a lot of controversy this year about what they were going to do, what direction they were going to go with the team. And it was controversial because they re-signed a lot of the older players and kept the core group together rather than going with the youth movement. A lot of fans were critical of that. Well, they started off the season winning 4 out of their first 5. Since then, they have lost 7 in a row. Come on, man. We don't have to deal with the Pirates. I don't even care about this. But come on, Penguins. 7. Come on. Be live over to you.
My Hurricanes are in first place, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out here. Let's see. My Cash App is the Almighty Be Live, because I need help getting tickets to this freaking outdoor series The cheapest seats.
Ooh, when's that?
February 18th, February 18th, I believe, and the cheapest seats I've seen are $350.
Wow.
And it's at Carter Finley Stadium, where NC State plays football. But the Almighty Be Live. That's my cash app. All right, cool. My second pepper point. We're going to go to a little bit of basketball because the basketball season has started, and it's been quite the interesting take on the season. A lot of talk has been about the Lakers and their very, very slow start. But there's also another team in the state of California that's having a really, really bad start. The Golden State Warriors.
What?
The reigning, defending champions. They're currently on a 5-game losing streak, and they're starting the season at 3-7. When is the last time, besides that 1 year that everybody got hurt, that the Golden State Warriors have started off this bad? And they can score all the points in the world, averaging 117 points per game of offense, but they are dead last in defense, allowing 121.4 points a game. And they're healthy. What's going on? What happened? Still got a lot of basketball to go. Another 72 games. It's literally the beginning of November. You know we don't talk about basketball until February, March, April anyway. But this, we need y'all to do a little bit better. Milwaukee is sitting alone at 9-0. So, and the Cleveland Cavaliers are 8-1,
beating everybody.
Ooh, interesting. Eddy Kool. The ball.
Boom, 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 boom. No, let me stop. All right, so thanks for throwing me the ball, Be Live. As most of you know, I cover high school football for WOBL, WDLW Radio, and up here in Northeast Ohio, and I enjoy it. I enjoy a good game. I've seen some close games, some blowouts, but then reading the articles the other day that came across my news wire, IMG Academy versus West Toronto Prep called at halftime. Anybody want to take a wild guess what the score is?
No idea.
I know it. I seen it too. Whoo, you won't believe it, Scottie D. I'm not going to say the spoil it. Eddy Kool, tell him what happened.
At the half, the score was IMG Academy 96, West Toronto 0.
At halftime, huh?
Yes. All right. So I did a little bit of research, and I'm going to liken this to the Sports Illustrated, because I want to put you guys on. I want to put you guys.
Did they call the game?
Yes, they did.
They called the game at half.
They did. I would have called it too. I would have called the game, called home, called somebody as I'm scratching my ear, because I can't believe this is going on. All right. So according to this article by Dan Lyons, it says West Toronto Prep is an 0-5 high school football team out of Canada. Found itself facing one of the best programs in the United States, Bradenton, Florida's IMG Academy, on Friday night. Things went about as you expected, all right, and resulted in less football than those in attendance were anticipating when entering the game. The Golden Warriors of West Toronto Prep have been outscored 195-6 coming into the game. Meanwhile, IMG is 7-1 and considered one of the top teams in the country. The game was a start mismatch on paper and wound up being even more lopsided than anyone could have ever imagined. IMG opened the game scoring on a second offensive play, opening the floodgates. The score was 57-0 after one quarter and was ultimately called after IMG ran out to a 96-0 lead at halftime. Highlights from the games are widely available online and show the powerful IMG team facing a squad that could barely get a shotgun or a long snap off the ground. an issue that led to a number of defensive scores for the Ascenders. Real quick, West Toronto Prep has exclusively played road games. 3 against schools in Erie, Pennsylvania, 1 against Gilmore Academy in Gates Mills, Ohio, and 1 against McCallie School in Chattanooga. The team does not have any more 2022-2023 games listed on its Max Preps profile. So apparently, I saw something on Twitter. Yeah.
This is a Canadian team?
Yes. So apparently I saw something on Twitter.
That's because they're punting on third down. They don't know they have.
Yeah. I talked. The funny thing about it was I talked to somebody
playing Canadian rules. They're playing American.
I know
rules.
they don't know that. They don't know that. They think you have to punt on third down. So they're at a disadvantage.
The funny thing about it was I had a guest that came into work about 2 months ago, and he told me that football is a Western Canada thing. I was like, oh, excuse me, Mr. Bougie. All right. So I'm looking at Twitter. This guy named Ben Kool, Ben Kooo, probably no relation to Young Way Cool. He says West Toronto Prep lists a public park as its address. It hasn't won a game all year. Big time Bishop Sycamore vibes, and yet here we are again with IMG Academy, in on the grift once again. So you mean to tell me there's an American Bishop Sycamore and a Canadian Bishop Sycamore? The competition committee, y'all need to cut it out. I know there's money being exchanged, but who in the hell want to be a part of a 96-0 ass whipping? Who want parts of that? That is just downright. That is just downright embarrassing. And the guy said the address for West Toronto is a public park. I'm gonna do some more research and I'll hit y'all back next week. Oh, you, Scottie D. This is crazy.
All right, so B-Lab was talking about the troubles of the Warriors, and as a lifelong Laker fan, I'm watching the struggles coming out of the gate here, and they're 2-7 at this point in time, and I'm looking at the stats. LeBron James is shooting right now from 3-point range.
Here we go.
His 3-point percentage is 21%.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Anthony Davis is shooting 23% from 3-point range. Westbrook all the way up to 32%. I got 2 guys on the team that are shooting over 40%. That being Austin Reeves and Matt Ryan, who I guess is playing there now that he's been taken off of the Colts quarterback roster. The rest of these guys all shooting in the 20s and 30%. And here's my advice, guys. Just keep shooting it. Just keep jacking it up. Just keep putting it up. I mean, I know Anthony Davis is 7 feet tall, but just shoot the 3. And LeBron, just keep shooting instead of going to the rim, because eventually they're all going to start going down. You're going to be shooting probably 40-50% from 3-point range by the end of the season. Just keep shooting it. That's all I got to say. Be live. Over to you.
I knew it. I felt this coming. Oh, boy. Oh, man.
Just keep putting it up. Just put it up.
Keep shooting. Keep shooting.
Oh, it does me great pleasure to present my third and final pepper point of the evening. And this is the best way I know how to do it. On this day, November 8th, 1982, my best friend was born. My brother from a different mother, my bro on the podcast. We've been through many, many adventures together.
All kinds. Oh boy.
We've been all from the East Coast to the West Coast. We've been all over. We still haven't gone to the Pacific Northwest. That's got to be our next trip.
Nice. And we went to Pittsburgh, where somebody grandma gave me some cookies and some guys cussed at you. But it's all good though. Scottie D was there too.
I want to say that this journey began with us being best friends a little over 25 years ago, and I owe my life to this man.
Oh man, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
I want to say, just really more than anything, I wish you a happy 40th birthday. And this is your brainchild, the SportsBros Podcast. Thank you for having me. Thank you for putting up with me. Scottie D, nobody cares about you. But
Scottie D, you just became the booger on the finger that he just took off. You just became the booger.
Oh man, no, hey, this is brothers for life, man. Scottie D, I love you too, man. This is just, I really want to say that as my third and final pepper point, that bro, happy birthday to you. 179 episodes of the Sports Bros Podcast, 25 years of friendship, 40 years of life, man. I'm extremely proud of you, man, and happy to be along this journey with you.
Cheers.
Cheers. I got water.
Here.
I got water. I got water in my cup. Scottie D, little known fact, you were present for my 21st birthday and my first legal drink. Yes, you were.
Oh,
you were in the building.
Overtime, huh?
Yes, you were in overtime. I think it was at the football game. And I wound up, I said, be live, let me crash at your place. And then boy, that birthday party the next day.
Woo.
I'm dropping stuff. That's how excited I am. I'm dropping stuff. I'm that damn excited about my birthday party. I'm just dropping stuff. Just give me a minute, fellas.
I got off of work. I got off of work late. I was like, man, y'all, I got to go. I got pulled over on the way there. My driver's license was bad. I was like, yo, come on, bro. I got like hundreds of people at my party. All right, please let a brother go. But man, I wouldn't take back 1 second of it, bro. Not one bit.
Yeah. I will say this, bros. Thank you very much, man. This here podcast has really helped me out career-wise and also to connect with you guys and everybody else that listens to us. So shout out to you guys for moving your schedules around, accommodating, making things happen, for brainchilds of the Be Live Top 5 and the choices of the voices, and then just I'm just grateful, man. I'm just grateful. And I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm happy to have you guys here, and I love y'all and thank y'all very much. And 40 trips around the sun. Hopefully, I got another 60 in me. 40, 60. I've never been good at math, but y'all know what I mean. I ain't done yet. I got grays in the beard, but I ain't done yet. All right, everybody got their peppers in?
Yes,
that's it, man.
All right, but before we go out of here, we did mention something earlier about an injury to Josh Allen, and I got an update via Bleacher Report. I don't know about that level, but one day I will. He had it says a minor injury to his elbow. And then it says, according to Bleacher Report / ESPN, Josh Allen has an injury of the UCL and related nerves. Team hopes to have more info later today, aka Tuesday. So,
well, that ain't good.
No, just UCL. That's
ulnar collateral ligament, I believe they call that.
Somewhere in the kneecap.
Oh, kneecap! I thought was his arm.
Well, that's what I thought too. But your ACL, your MCL, and your PCL, I don't know. I thought
ulnar. So that's up in here.
Yeah. Okay, so
I think.
Right, well, I don't know nothing. I don't.
Let me tell you something. So sometimes I'll go down a wormhole and I'll look at the human knee. Have you ever seen how many ligaments hold the human knee together? The LCL, the ACL, the PCL, the WCW, the NWO, Legado del Fantasma, Bullet Club, the Pinnacle, the Jericho Appreciation. That's a lot of ligaments holding together like a knee, and it's crazy. It is insane. All right, there's your injury update on Josh Allen. Y'all got anything to say before we get the hell up out of here?
Happy birthday, and that's it, man. I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hopefully next year, this time, we ain't got to worry about rolling our clocks back, because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't like this. I'm not a fan of it.
I don't even understand why it's so dark so early. But yeah, all right. It is what it is, and we complain about it every year. But there's supposed to be a vote in Congress that's supposed to make daylight savings time permanent. So when we roll our clocks forward next year,
that's it.
That's it.
Wow. All right. And then closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They're greatly appreciated. Now, more than ever. Be a blessing. Please don't be a burden, and be good to each other, all right? It's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. I'll see y'all later. I'm finna go celebrate his birthday. Be live. Get us the hell up out of here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So, Gamecocks, appreciate your birthday love. See y'all next week. It's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast by the fan for the fan, a.k.a. your favorite sports podcast. See you next week. Hey, it's Eddy Kool here from the Sports Bros Podcast. And do you want some more of the Sports Bros Podcast in your life? Wait a minute, don't answer that. The answer is yes. And I know you want some more of the Sports Bros Podcast in your life. Do us a small favor. Go to the description box, click our Linktree link, and you'll see all the links on how to follow the Sports Bros Podcast. Once again, thanks for listening.